98 of the All the Books show, normally recorded at the David A. Howe Public Library, where we normally talk about book news, author news, and literary news.
Absolutely.
Normally, I'm Eric Mickles.
And I'm always Nic Gunning.
Yeah.
And today,
I'm still Eric.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I said normally.
Today we have a special guest from the podcast previously on an X-Men, one of our favorite guests, and my wife, Hilary Gunning. Hilary.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, Hilary.
Hi.
Well, Hilary last appeared with us on our Captain Marvel episode, which is in, I think, our top 10 of, like, most popular episodes.
Did you say our top 10?
I did say top 10, but it is in our top 10 of most popular episodes. So maybe you're a good luck charm, Hilary.
I think probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So normally Hilary and Eric talk X-Men without me, but today, since, is it just called Phoenix or Dark Phoenix?
The movie?
Yeah.
It's called Dark Phoenix.
Since the movie Dark Phoenix is coming out, we're going to do a special superhero spotlight here on All the Book Show, where we talk about all things X-Men.
Yeah, I kind of feel like you're a guest on our podcast.
I know, it does feel that way. It does feel that way a little bit.
Welcome, Nick. Welcome.
Thank you. For those of you that use SoundCloud to find the podcast, it's soundcloud.com/allthebooks, and there you can find some cultivated playlists, including a playlist with all of our past superhero spotlights, which are always a lot of fun. Hilary's been in, this is your third.
I was in the Wonder Woman one and the Captain Marvel one.
Yeah, so this is your third. This is a hat trick.
We didn't ask anybody on for the Batman or Superman ones.
No.
What do they know?
I know. That was the early days. Batman and Superman was very
we couldn't
early.
book anybody to save our lives.
Oh, no. I was going to say, is this our first Marvel? But no, because Captain Marvel was our first Marvel spotlight. Mm-hmm. So I think we should do a Spider-Man too when the time comes.
Yeah, we can do one on Spider-Man too.
All right. The film Spider-Man 2?
Yeah,
okay. Sure, why not? All right.
I was like, I should make that joke. No, that is too dumb. And you took it.
I respect your restraint. I respect that. All right, so we're going to be talking about X-Men in a little bit, but for now, let's dig into some bookmark. So Eric, open that bookmark. Tell me what you've been reading.
Okay. I've been reading X-Men.
Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
Actually, I've been reading Blue Mars. I haven't gotten very far because it's a long book. And what's frustrating about Kim Stanley Robinson's whole Mars trilogy is that the terraforming takes too darn long to happen, which makes sense. But in Red Mars, he introduced us to his like scientist characters, and they cracked the human genome in terms of like aging, so the characters are able to live longer, so that they can see some of the terraforming. Okay. But it's still just too slow, and so like I just want to.
What are we talking about? How long does the terraforming take?
I mean, technically, I think
generations.
Yeah.
Okay.
Centuries.
Wow.
So he's trying to be realistic.
He's trying to be realistic, but also speed it up. I mean, there's cool stuff like they put mirrors around on above Mars, floating above Mars to generate heat to help melt the polar ice cap. You know, and I'm just like, I just want to see like all the cause and effect. Like we heat this up, so this melts this ice, which creates this body of water, which creates. I just want to see all that. And instead, it's a lot of politics. Like, should we even be terraforming Mars? I'm just like, yes. That's the answer. So there's one character, and I talked about this last week, who I hate, and they do not want to terraform Mars. Okay. They're not only are they an annoying character, they're slowing down the stuff that I want to see,
which is already taking generations, hundreds of years.
So it's flawed.
Now, is this the final book in the trilogy?
Yeah.
This is where you're at. Okay, so you've done it. You've done it this far. Yeah. You just got to go the distance.
Yeah. So finishing, this one won the Hugo. I don't know if it won the Nebula. Okay. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe Red Mars. Maybe this one. Look, it doesn't matter what it won.
I think at least one won the Hugo, though.
Yeah.
I think at least. Okay.
This isn't a series I'll ever like reread again.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like, what's a good book on terraforming or Mars?
That's the one.
I mean, this is like the standard.
Look, I don't know how Kim Stanley Robinson does it, but in the film Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, the terraforming is almost instantaneous.
Yeah, he doesn't
with the Genesis project.
Yeah, they definitely
Who's
need
taking Genesis? Genesis? No one's taking Genesis.
Okay.
Sorry, it's a little Star Trek.
Turn back in for our Star Trek spotlight.
Right. We need to do another one.
Another one.
All the Books Beyond was like years ago at this point. So.
Yeah. Well,
I guess
that's the last time. No, that's not true. Actually,
it was going to be relevant. Is that what you're going to say?
But Star Trek Discovery is.
I know it's doing gangbusters.
Doing better than Beyond did.
Yeah. So. Maybe we can do it when the Picard series comes out. You're excited about that, Hilary?
Yes, I am.
Hilary's she's the next gen.
Well, I mean, I was thrilled about it to begin with. Yeah. Because it's Picard.
Yes.
Say no more.
Right.
But then, you sort of get worried about it. Like, what are they going to do?
I'm still worried about it.
Dumb. But then they did the little preview.
The little teaser.
And it's just perfect. It's just exactly what I want.
It does seem pretty good.
It's so quiet and calm. I love it.
Yeah, I've been reading previously on X-Men, the book
That's the name of the podcast you and Hilary do.
The book that heartlessly stole our title.
That's true.
Well, Eric and I have been down this road before. So difficult.
This is the book by the showrunner of the 90s X-Men animated series.
Oh, yeah.
It's a self-published book, and it's kind of like in text textbook format.
It looks like a textbook.
And some of it doesn't go into as much detail. Like, he does an episode by episode recap, but it doesn't like talk about the making of each episode. He just kind of explains it if there's anything in there. But the making of it, I definitely learned that Stan Lee was not easy to work with on that thing, and that kind of sours some perspective. He wanted to open, you know how the X-Men animated series opens with that cool 30-second, minute-long music intro and everything with all the characters?
Right.
Stan Lee wanted the show to open with him at a desk explaining who the X-Men are, what you're about to watch, the characters, and then when it ends, he would also do that again. Like, wasn't that fun, True Believers?
Yeah.
And so he basically wanted to do like what Walt Disney did with like the Alice in Wonderland stuff.
Yeah, but he narrated like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends.
Yeah,
well, that's how he started Pride of the X-Men.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He did that with Pride of the X-Men, and
it's one of the big problems. With
Eric Lulin, he was basically like, no, we're in charge of the show, and so Stan Lee, I guess, like he didn't know certain characters because he only knew the ones he created.
Yeah.
So he wasn't familiar with the other ones. So he's like, this is confusing, and he just kept giving notes. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people gave notes.
Yeah.
And they just had to like get through it.
Okay. So the book's previously on X-Men. Who's the author on that one?
Eric Lulin.
Eric Lulin. Okay. All right. Anything else for you?
A lot of X-Men comics.
Okay.
Did I mention? Yeah, I'm reading through what equates to like Essential X-Men 8 right now.
Okay.
So just late 80s X-Men.
Nice.
A lot of drama. They're in Australia. Mm-hmm. They're in Genosha.
Right.
Dazzler's there.
Oh yeah. So I like Dazzler from the arcade game.
Yeah.
I always played as Dazzler, but we can talk about that later. All right. Is that it for you, bookmark wise?
Did I see? Oh, I also saw the movie Dark Phoenix.
Okay. Save it. Save it for the spotlight.
Okay.
Save it for the spotlight. Oh, I don't like your tone though.
No, it's okay.
I can tell you already. Okay, Hilary. Well, you're our guest, so why don't you go next?
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Shouldn't she have gone first?
She should have, but I didn't want to put her on the spot.
So rude.
All right, take it away. What have you been reading?
Well, I just finished Liar Liar by
Jim Carrey.
Sort of James Patterson.
Oh.
But actually Candace Fox.
Wow.
It's a Harriet Blue novel.
Okay.
I've enjoyed the Harriet Blue novels. This one was bad.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah, I think the longer I go thinking about it, the more I'm like, no, it just sucked. I think mainly because, like, I think if it was just by itself, it was just a standalone book, fine.
Okay.
It's like serial killer, violence, whatever. Okay. But it did not feel like an organic outflow of the character from the previous books.
Okay.
So,
well, I remember you saying that before. This book is is from a bygone era because this series actually started as a bookshot. Yeah. So longtime listeners will remember the saga that was James Patterson's Bookshots, in which he put out 3 novellas every month. And Harriet Blue started that way. And I remember you said from Black and Blue, I think was the first one, to 50/50 was a huge jump. That characters from the Bookshot didn't even come over.
From the Bookshot, yeah, it was basically just Harriet Blue.
Okay.
And it's like the Bookshot is like her and this misfit guy. Like, she gets dumped with this partner that everybody hates. And it's just the two of them like getting to know each other, and they do like a crime, whatever.
Do they sing
Getting
to Know You?
And I like that. They do.
From The King and I.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
they start. It's a nice little.
That's great. Being the highlight.
Anyway. So I liked that. I liked the groundwork that they laid. And then the second book, which is the first one that's not a bookshot,
50/50.
50/50, was the jump where she's now with a different partner. And I'm pretty sure in that book they never mention the original first partner, which is weird. So now is Liar Liar the third one?
It feels like there's another, but
it does feel
like
there's
some kind of consider it his last like really good comedy.
Jim Carrey. Everyone considers that his last really good comedy.
Oh, I love that.
That's
some people like Evan Almighty.
That I hold in my hand.
Well, Evan Almighty is Steve Carell, but Bruce Almighty is Jim Carrey.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's pretty
I don't think
funny.
anybody likes Evan Almighty.
No. Lauren Graham probably does.
But we all digress.
We do.
Oh.
The point is, then Liar Liar, I'm pretty sure, the Liar Liar brings back both previous partners.
Oh, even from the Bookshot?
Yes.
Oh.
And does them in a weird way that doesn't really feel like either of them actually is that previous character.
This is a whirlwind.
And Harriet Blue also does not feel like her previous character. So
and it's still Candace Fox, so that hasn't changed.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is that changed. Maybe I changed.
Huh.
Maybe I changed.
Well, okay. Well, just to clarify, the book shot that began it all is called Black and Blue. The first book is Never Never, which we forgot.
Oh, okay.
Then 50-50, then Liar Liar, and next month, in July, book 4 is coming out called Hush Hush.
It's tricky because what they seem to do with...
Yeah, thank you.
What they seem to do with these Harriet Blue books is jump her around a lot. Like, she always ends up getting kicked out of her precinct to, like, they're like, this thing is happening, so you have to go out into the bush. And then she'll come back, and then something else happens. So this is happening, so you have to go out into the bush. She's always going to different places.
It's like how in Mission Impossible, they always go rogue. They're never not rogue.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. You never see her just, like, living her life. Yeah. Working the job.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And so, like, her character arc is interesting, and then it sort of hits I don't know. This book is just...
She goes out into the bush.
And it kind of makes sense because, like, some crazy dramatic stuff happens to her personally. Oh. But it doesn't really, in my opinion, warrant the kind of change that happens. It doesn't feel organic.
That is unusual. I mean, not that the whole, like, Patterson Enterprise is, like, the pinnacle of
Patterson's on the Enterprise?
But
I don't know what's going on with that today.
But the Patterson books typically are very true to themselves, you know what I mean? Like,
well, maybe it's because of the Candace Fox.
Well, it could
edition.
be, but that's the whole point of these, like, James Patterson.
Like, it's the James Patterson universe.
Yes, the partnership, like the James Patterson brand, that sort of carries it through. The short chapters, the style of the characters, you know, like that's all supposed to carry through. So it's very odd to me that this the Harriet Blues aren't following that. But okay, are you going to read Hush Hush?
Yeah, I'll definitely read it.
What do you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've liked the series. It's connected with me, but. Yeah, I was very disappointed with this one.
Okay.
But I'll still read.
For more on James Patterson, visit soundcloud.com/allthebooks and look up our James Patterson episode. My brother Steve guest starred, and that's the episode that basically broke his brain because he read so many of the Women's Mirror Club that he was like, I don't know how to breathe oxygen anymore. Yeah. Up is down. All right, what else? What else for you?
Then I also just finished Scarlet Witch Volume 1, which is the first of, like, I don't know how many there are, but it's a series.
There's 3 out now. We have the whole series in the collection.
It's a newer series, like 2015, I think, something like that. And it was fine. It focuses on Scarlet Witch after she has left something. I don't know what the previous stuff that has happened, but she's now on her own.
She leave her boyfriend, her robot boyfriend?
I guess. I mean, she's not with anybody. She has a ghost friend that apparently
that's fun.
Yeah.
She appears to have some deep background with. So there's a lot of stuff happening, but for the most part, it's standalone. It focuses a lot on her being like a sorcerer, which is the stuff about Scarlet Witch that I don't like. Like, I really like the stuff I like about Scarlet Witch is her, like, chaos power, because I just think that's a really interesting concept and very different from a lot of the other mutant powers that happen. So I really like when they have it focused on, like, how she uses, like, how do you in a battle use something that's like, I'm just gonna make nonsense happen in, like, a strategic way. I think that's very interesting. I think it's kind of a cop-out to be like, in magic, but it seems like that's where they're leaning pretty hardcore.
Yeah. Okay.
But in this one, it was just like there were goddesses and, like, demons and
bad news about current Scarlet Witch then for you.
I know. I think that's all it is. It seems like it's been very heavily in that for, like, decades, which is depressing for me. Everyone else seems to like it.
I don't have a lot of history with Scarlet Witch, but that's you guys.
We used to date.
Did you really?
Scarlet Witch
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Right after I stopped going to high school.
Yeah.
Very tumultuous.
Interesting. Now you guys are going to be focusing on Scarlet Witch in your next episode of
that's
Previously
why
on
I just
X-Men.
read this one, was sort of as part of the preparation for that. Yeah.
Okay. Anything you're currently reading you want to tell us about?
Yeah. I just started Woman in Cabin 10, and
a lot of history on the show with Woman in Cabin 10.
I kind of want to set it aside. It's just not... The thing is, I haven't gotten to the actual, like, the inciting incident.
I heard a body!
Yet. That one.
I'm a little drunk, but I'm pretty sure that splash was a body!
Ma'am.
Help, I'm falling into the water. I am a body! Did you hear that?
Ma'am, please. You're gonna go to cruise ship jail. All right,
anyway, I haven't gotten to that part.
I want my first cruise ship phone call!
I'm basically just in the part before anything happens, and it's
so the whole book.
It's not really fair.
Oh, you wanted a high five?
It's not really fair of me to not get at least to that part.
That's true.
Like where she's actually on the cruise ship.
Hillary's a Ruth Ware fan.
I am a Ruth Ware
Death
fan.
Mrs. Westaway.
Okay, here's the thing about this.
Okay.
I think you psyched me out about it because you have always said that you don't love Woman in Cabin 10.
Yeah.
You also don't like Ruth Ware as much as I do.
No,
so
I don't.
I try to take that with a grain of salt.
I don't, but the ones of hers I've read, I think that the Women in Cabin 10 is the most simplistic and the most like derivative of others in that style.
I don't think you've liked anyone since Cabin 5.
Yeah, Cabin 5 was fine, but 6 through 9 were...
Yeah.
I don't want to be on this podcast anymore.
Sorry.
All right. Let's see. What have I been doing? I finished a couple of things. This has not been a highbrow week for me. I'm just going to tell everybody right now.
Jeez.
So I read a few graphic novels. I read the first volume of Batman 66.
Are you about to offend a bunch of people by saying it hasn't been a highbrow week, and now you're going to list a bunch of things that we're going to be like, wait a second?
Some Pulitzer Prize winners. No, I read the first volume of Batman 66 by Jeff Parker, which is a continuation of the old Batman series. Didn't work. It must find its footing later because I read Batman 66 and Wonder Woman 77, which was great. But this first volume, it's like, did you watch the show?
Be Batman 77?
Did you watch the show? Is the question I have for the author
man.
because it's not right. The main thing is they go to London, and in the Adam West series, it was always Londinium, the Londinium Batcave. Like, there's no London, it's Londinium. And I thought, like, to get that kind of thing wrong in a continuation of the series is just like... I mean, it's on DVD, but anyway.
Sorry.
Didn't like that. I read Starfleet Command by Mike Johnson, and Derek Charm does the illustrations. I loved it. It was really good. And
I knew Mike Johnson.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Probably not this one.
No, we were janitors together. He was a graduate student. Part-time janitor.
No, I don't.
Full-time janitor.
Different guy. But anyway, the illustrator is Derek Charm, who does the Archie series and a lot of other stuff that I like. As I mentioned this on Twitter, and he responded and said that Derek Charm said that this was his like favorite, like his pet project, favorite thing he'd worked on, which I thought was cool because it's such a little like sideways story in the whole like Star Trek universe. But anyway, I thought that was pretty good. I finished Master and Apprentice by Claudia Gray. For a book club I do with some pals. That was pretty good. Now, you've read other Claudia Gray Star Wars. You read, Lost Stars?
I read Lost Stars.
And you were all in for that.
Yeah, that was really good.
Master and Apprentice really got it right. And again, the audiobook, the guy's Liam Neeson impression in this audiobook is like he deserves an audio award.
Right.
Listen, though, I heard you, as the wife, I heard you listening to this. And I kept listening for a perfect Liam Neeson. Yeah. And I did not hear it.
Oh.
And what is he? Is he Qui-Gon Jinn?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Here's a little insider information on this. I was listening to it on 1.4
were you listening
speed.
to it fast? I hate when you do
that. So you can't tell quite so much in there.
I'm going to train this boy whether you like it or not, Yoda.
Pretty much. So, but it's perfect. It's flawless. And then I read a Star Trek book called Fallen Gods. This is in the Titan series, which I do not like, but I really liked this book. So... who knows?
Yeah.
I guess...
a fallen god would need a starship.
I guess it would, yeah. That's the plot of Star Trek V, I believe. Anyway, so that's it for me, bookmark-wise.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm currently...
It's not highbrow. That's just not a lot.
I know.
It's regular brow.
Well, that's 2 full novels and 2 graphic novels, but okay. I read...
well, which is it, Nick?
I read Leviathan... I'm starting Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey for our sci-fi book club, which you can come to.
You do have to start it early, because Leviathan takes a long time to wait.
Here's something that's making me crazy, though. The audiobook for this, the narrator says, like, and now Leviathan awakes. He's called it Leviathan Awakes multiple times. And I'm like, if I've been saying this wrong for years? No, it's Leviathan Awakes.
If I vomit on this coffee table,
I don't know what this man's story is, but anyway.
Maybe he just has trouble getting from the N to the W.
Could be. It could be.
Leviathan Awakes.
Yeah. No. I heard a funny thing from Stephen Fry about narrating the Harry Potter audiobooks, where he couldn't say the phrase Harry pocketed it. He kept saying, he was like pocketed it in, like he kept saying too many things. And so he called J.K. Rowling and was like, can I just say Harry put it in his pocket? And she was like, no, you can't.
No, Stephen Fry.
And so, like, I don't even know. Eventually they figured it out, I guess. I don't know if they edited it. But then he said that in every subsequent Harry Potter book, the phrase Harry pocketed it appears in the book.
That's mean.
It's a little inside scoop on J.K. Rowling there.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's it.
Didn't know
that's
that
it
she
for...
was very particular.
She is. That's it for the old bookmark. Now listen, we've got so much to get into. I think we jump right into the segment. Any objections?
I object.
Can we bamf into the subject?
All right, so we already told you heads up what we're going to be talking about this week, and it is the X-Men, because the Fox franchise of the X-Men is coming to a close here with Dark Phoenix. Although, are we ever going to get New Mutants, the movie New Mutants?
Don't ask me.
That looked so good. Didn't they have a preview? Am I crazy?
They did have a trailer. Yeah.
That was the one that was like kind of creepy.
Yeah.
They're saying it's still going to come out. Like Disney has put out a release date for it. But I think really, for the series proper, Dark Phoenix is kind of an unfortunate capstone.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, my Google Assistant will not let me forget the Dark Phoenix. I have not once Googled the phrase Dark Phoenix, and it is constantly popping up with notifications like, is there end credits of Dark Phoenix? Here's what people think about Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix isn't a great capstone. I got
Dark Phoenix on my wall.
You know what? The Google Assistant must listen to Previously on X-Men, your podcast with Eric.
I guess have we mentioned it?
All right,
we're on Google Play Music.
So we're gonna dig in today.
So
we asked Hilary to be on this episode because of the expertise that the two of them bring. So I am probably the lesser X-Men fan in the room here, and by probably I mean absolutely, most definitely. So Eric's asked me to keep a tight leash on the conversation because he could talk from now until Disney reboots the X-Men.
Which is why I had to make
the X-Men.
He's going to filibuster until they...
Yeah,
pretty much. That's why I had to go and do the X-Men podcast.
All right.
Sorry.
So I've got a series of questions. I'm going to stick us to these questions, and we're going to get through this together as a team.
Is this multiple choice?
All right.
Can I say something random?
Yes.
But relevant?
Yes, absolutely.
I follow the animated series people on Twitter.
I just started following them.
Did you see they tweeted something about rebooting the animated
cartoon,
series?
Yes. They talked about that. They wanted to bring it back and just start over where they left off.
Just continue, like episode whatever, 75.
I don't know.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think Disney technically already owned the animated show even before they owned Fox. So, I don't know.
All right, the first of my questions for my X-Men experts here is, when did you first become aware of the X-Men?
Oh, so this isn't like, we're not being quizzed. I'm not going to be like,
no.
Incredible Hulk 181.
Oh, well, Eric would win.
If I did an impromptu quiz while recording, Hilary would leave me.
Yes, I would.
So I can't do that.
If you could quiz me, and I could just look at Eric and be like, it was the thing where they were juggling, and then they were going to, and he'd be like that.
Yeah, really, it's a special language, a shorthand that Hilary requires.
Okay, when did we first become aware of the X-Men?
Here's it for me. When I was as far back as I can remember, I was watching Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, which is Spider-Man and Iceman, who is an X-Man, and Firestar, who is a made-up X-Man. But there's a lot of talk about how they were X-Men and they're former X-Men, blah, blah, blah. So that, I think, was where I first heard the term X-Men. Then from there, I had a VHS copy of Pride of the X-Men, which I have a lot more fondness for than Eric or Hilary, because I watched this, in the 80s as a child.
Well, when there's
hundreds
nothing else.
of times,
Maybe.
So for me, and then especially coming out of Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends, it wasn't a huge leap for me. So I really liked this, and I loved the arcade game that uses all the
the 6 players.
Yeah. And it uses the character designs from Pride of the X-Men. So for me, it was a whole X-Men thing. So that was it. That was it for me. Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends to Pride of the X-Men to X-Men Arcade, and then eventually the 90s series. Hilary, what about you?
I think you probably have both of us beat for longevity.
That's true.
Because going back to
a child.
Back to the Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, I never watched any of that.
Oh, okay.
So mine probably starts with the animated series from the 90s, and I was super into that. Used to pretend to be Jubilee and all of them.
Jubilee was the one you picked to be?
Well, see, this is the thing, because we would
You guys better not leave me behind, even though I'm the youngest.
It was me and my sister Allison and my friend Caitlin Woolsey, and we would play, and so we had to pick who we would be, and I think I was stuck with Jubilee. I think Allison was Rogue, and I think Katie was Storm.
Jubilee is the star of the pilot.
I know.
You didn't pick. You'd rather be Jubilee than Jean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Jean from the animated series. Yeah. Jean from everything.
Jean from most things is not a super compelling character.
You know where Jean is great?
Where?
That game. What's the game?
X-Men Legends?
X-Men Legends, the video game. She is the best character
she is.
in that game.
Yeah, they use her powers well in that, I think.
She's great. Anyway.
All right, so 90s X-Men for you.
90s X-Men is where it started.
And then when did you start reading X-Men?
reading,
like off of
yeah, X-Men is also a series.
I guess it probably just jumped off of that. I think what happened, if I think about it, is I liked the animated series, and then I was all online and stuff with like the fandom things and like fan fiction and that kind of thing. And from fan fiction, I would start to learn about like storylines that had happened in the comics, and so then I would go to the comics.
I see.
And like learn
what
the fan fiction was referring to.
That's legit. What about you, Pickles? That's you, Eric.
Are you refusing to
I was refusing to answer to Pickles.
Sorry. You've been wearing that green shirt. Kind of looks like a pickle. Shirt. You're right.
All right.
It's inappropriate for this conversation. But
all my X-Men shirts are dirty right now.
I understand.
So. Oh, wait.
No, you don't have any.
No, I do. I have like 8.
He's not a big X-Men fan.
It's weird how he doesn't have any X-Men shirts.
Yeah, well, he has as many X-Men shirts as knowledge about X-Men.
Oh, boy.
Limited.
You guys both have me beat then on longevity.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because I didn't get into X-Men until the year 2000.
X-Men 3, The Last Stand.
No.
Oh, sorry.
X-Men 2000 was coming out, the movie.
Okay.
And...
you always say X-Men 2000 like that's the title, and that's kind of a fun title.
It's a great title. Yeah, I'd watch that.
And it was coming out. I remember reading something about it coming out in Disney Adventures. I remember seeing like a trailer.
Disney Adventures, boy, there's a throwback.
There was the trailer had been out maybe, and I had like gone online and looked up the characters, and my library had the big collection, Essential X-Men Volume 1.
Oh, okay.
They actually had like the first 3, or maybe I had to get them from other libraries. But so I just was reading like the 70s X-Men comics for a while.
Not the Stan Lees.
No.
Okay.
No, this was the Claremont, Chris Claremont.
Yeah,
stuff.
I've read that. That
Wolverine,
Essential X-Men.
Nightcrawler, Colossus' Storm were like the big new characters there. And so I was just kind of reading that like straight through for a while, and then
into that. I mean, that sucked you in, the black and whites and the really.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Eric's a different kind of reader
he is.
than I am.
And then I started buying my X-Men comics like back issues and stuff, and then I started wherever they were, it would have been like right as Grant Morrison was starting his run and right as Joe
I've never read the Grant Morrison X-Men. Do you think I'd enjoy that?
Maybe. It's different. It's extreme. It's good. Not extreme with an X.
Not extreme.
It's very different. He does a lot of stuff that Marvel was like, After he left, Marvel retconned a lot of stuff.
Really?
Because he was kind of taking it to its logical conclusion.
Okay.
But, I mean, then it's just everything.
Okay.
So
the movie really
the movie,
cemented
yes,
it.
the movie introduced it to me, but I started reading the comics before I watched the movie
in preparation. For the movie.
So I think I had already read like the first 2 Essential X-Men.
Well, I gotta respect your diligence there. That's you did your homework before that movie came out.
Yeah,
I was excited.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know anything.
I like that what we've got here is like the more condensed amount of time we've known X-Men, the more extreme the fandom seems to get.
Extreme with an X?
With an X.
Okay, with an X.
Well, I just had so much to catch up with, but also I had a pretty decent paying job for a teenager with at some points, not a lot of expenses. So a lot of comic books. So
yeah.
Who needs braces when you can have the X-Men?
I had braces.
You had braces?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No wonder you didn't date.
Well, I didn't pay for the braces.
Oh, you didn't?
My mom paid for the braces.
Stole? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I stole braces. I went in like every 2 months to get them adjusted, and I stole it. I'm like, if you adjust it, then I'll pay you.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you promised. Wait, where'd he go?
I'm leaving the state.
So dentistry is based on the barter system in Massachusetts. Is that correct?
Yeah. Okay. Look. This would be around the time that, yes, I had braces, and yes, I was into X-Men. So when they asked me what colors I wanted, at one point it was blue and gold, please. So they'd be Wolverine colors.
Yeah.
I also did holiday themes, so black and orange on Halloween. And
all right, let's talk books for a minute. Because I know you've read a lot of the I'm talking about prose fiction X-Men books.
Actually, I read a lot more novels than I did comics at first.
Really?
Because I didn't know where to start reading comics. So, but books were just easier because they were very condensed storylines. Yeah. And the library seemed to have more of those. So I just ended up reading.
There's actually a decent amount. Like when you go to look at especially I think Marvel does this better than DC with their prose fiction because there is a lot of novels based on those characters. Do you have a favorite or two?
Mutant Empire is a trilogy.
Okay. Yeah.
They also put it in one giant big collection, but I loved it. It was basically, I think it was taking place like in the 90s with the 90s team, but it had like 10 of the X-Men, and they get split up into 2 teams of 5, and like one team is out in space dealing with the Shi'ar and Lilandra and the Starjammers, and one team of 5 is on Earth dealing with Magneto, who's taken over Manhattan with a group of Sentinels.
Sounds fun.
He has a bunch of... And so it was one of these books that just had, like, everybody showing up. Also... Codename Wolverine, which is like a
I know that one.
It's kind of like a prequel story, but also he's dealing with stuff.
I feel like I've read that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of characters.
We at least have it. Yeah. I know we have it in our house.
I think I did read that.
Okay.
Also, Smoke and Mirrors, which is a Mr. Sinister story.
I read that too.
Yeah. You read that because at a yard sale I sold my 2 paperback copies of Smoke and Mirrors and Codename Wolverine.
I bought them.
Yeah.
Is that true?
I bought them.
Yep.
Is that
when
true?
I was in 4th grade. Did you guys get the Scholastic book orders?
Yes.
Was that a thing? I loved the Scholastic book orders.
Yeah, they were fun.
And from there, I got an X-Men book called Second Genesis, and this is by Paul Mantell. And it's a junior level book. You know, it's a 12-year-old, and it was about what's the living island? Genosha.
No, the living
Genosha
island is
island.
Krakoa.
Yeah, Krakoa. Genosha is the mutant island.
Well, whatever it is. By the time this ends, the book, the island is gone, and there's a giant tidal wave to fill the hole.
Yeah, that's
that happens.
in the comics.
Which is that though?
That's Second Genesis.
That's giant size.
Yeah, giant size.
But I mean,
is that
what island is that?
Krakoa.
Krakoa. Okay.
Yeah.
So I read that
the island that walks like a man
without any knowledge of what that was. Like I had no idea what that was, and I had just basically known Pride of the X-Men, and had seen probably at that point the first season or so of the animated series, and I was just like, what is happening?
That was the first X-Men comic I ever read. That's
really?
how Essential X-Men starts.
It's bananas.
And yeah, it was just like, so is this just what comic books is?
Yeah.
Just living islands, walking like men, but not really?
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So
I don't rate that high.
Yeah.
But that was the first X-Men novel that I read.
Okay.
My favorite is one called Dark Mirror, which is written by Marjorie Liu. Do you remember this one, Hilary? Because I think you read it as well. In 2006, there was a whole series of X-Men novels coming out, and this one was Marjorie Liu, but Christopher Bennett wrote several, and there was all sorts of. It was a big push at the time. So I read all of those, but this one was so weird. It's so atypical. This is where the X-Men, some mutant transfers the X-Men into patients in a mental institution.
Scary.
Do you remember this?
No.
Okay.
I've read
it.
I was sure I had read this.
You have. I know that you have, but this was like a decade ago. And it was so good. And they weren't really, most of the time, they weren't able to use their powers because they were trapped in other bodies. So it's just really deep character study of the X-Men trapped in these bodies. And it was so good. I couldn't believe it. This is probably my favorite X-Men thing that I've ever read.
Wild.
So anyway, that's Dark Mirror by Marjorie Liu. Was there any other books that you read all the ones that we mentioned?
So them,
yeah, there was a Savage World book I read. Might be called Savage Hearts, where they go and fight Sauron and fight the mutates. There's one where it's the original 5 X-Men fighting Lucifer again. Ooh. Lucifer, the space alien, not the devil.
Not the devil.
Yeah.
Why can't he be both?
Yeah, and there was also this trilogy I never finished. I think I read the first 2, where Dr. Doom, or maybe it starts with Red Skull getting the Cosmic Cube and changing everything around, and then Dr. Doom gets it.
That sounds fun.
And Magneto gets it.
What is it?
I can't remember what it's called. Yeah.
Okay.
And also one where the X-Men and the Avengers were time traveling. I think it's called Time Arrow.
Ooh. Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about some comic books now. Let's talk about some of our favorite runs. So you've already mentioned 70s and Essential X-Men and all that. Give me some of your favorite runs.
Well, my absolute favorite X-Men storyline is Age of Apocalypse.
Okay.
This was a 90s storyline that happened where all the X-Men books were basically canceled.
Okay.
Because Professor X's son goes back in time to kill Magneto.
Oh.
So Legion, the character David, goes back in time to kill Magneto. But they're still friends, Xavier and Magneto at the time. So Xavier jumps in the way to save Magneto, and he gets killed, which causes Legion to disappear, and that means Xavier was never to form the X-Men.
Wow.
So Magneto does, and Apocalypse wakes up and just takes over everything because they're not ready for him. And it's this big alternate reality story where the characters look and act very differently. Apocalypse is in charge, and it's really cool. It only lasts each series became a different series for Apocalypse, and so there was only 4 or 5 months long of an event. But it's the best Marvel's done in terms of just epic scope and alternate reality stuff. So
and Apocalypse, if I'm right, just has the power to control sand.
No.
Because the film X-Men Apocalypse, his only power was sand powers.
What? Also,
sand.
X-Men Apocalypse. Now you got me. Age of Apocalypse was the first. I would go to my comic book store, and he didn't have he would keep those in like X-Men Miscellaneous.
I see.
And I would just like be buying them as what I could find. I would buy. So I was reading it in pieces and not being able to like finish it, and just waiting for him to like either get somebody else to sell him more or him to find other ones. And so it took me a while to finish it, but it was a good one. And also the X-Men game, X-Men Legends 2, is based on that a little bit. So I remember playing that. And then also rereading X-Men Age of Apocalypse. I'm like, this is great! So
there, most of the X-Men video games are good. X-Men Legends, X-Men Legends 2, both Sega games. Yeah. The just X-Men and then X-Men Clone Wars are so good. Yeah. I love them. I never played the old Nintendo one that everybody says is terrible, but
yeah, the NES one is supposed to be
X-Men Arcade. Well, you like X-Men Legends.
I love X-Men Legends.
That's a great one. Stuff, yeah. Those are really good.
Anyway,
so Age of Apocalypse.
Age of Apocalypse. I like the Messiah Complex like crossover the X-Men did, where this is after House of M. So no mutants are being born. A bunch of them have lost their powers. There's only like 200 mutants left, and now a mutant has been born, and everybody's after the baby. So Mr. Sinister's after the baby. Mystique is after the baby. The X-Men are after him. Cable is there as his own. And
Thank goodness.
It's it was really cool. It was an exciting time. That was one I was reading monthly. Okay. And it was a lot of fun.
I don't think I ever was following like single issues of X-Men.
Oh yeah.
I did. I mean, I would always go through like the quarter boxes and stuff at Collector's Cove, which was a bright teal comic book store that I used to go to as a child. And I always loved the what if stories about the X-Men.
What ifs are fun.
There was a what if Phoenix had lived, and just different like taking classic X-Men storylines and twisting them and being like, what if this happened? So that was a great run. Those were some of my early favorites. What about you? No, sorry, go ahead.
I kind of have this thing where if I find an issue of Uncanny X-Men that I don't own, I'll buy it. Just like sight what's the phrase?
Sight unseen.
Sight unseen, yeah. So I was out one time with some friends and I was going through some comics. I'm like, oh, I don't have this. And I just grabbed like 5. He's like, how do you even know you don't have this one? Because there's just so many. So all the Chris Claremont stuff I enjoy too.
Nice.
The Dark Phoenix. So I get boring with that where I'm like, oh, Days of Future Past, Dark Phoenix. When to go?
I haven't read those, Dark Phoenix or Days of Future Past.
I got at least 8 volumes of Essential X-Men right here if you want.
Do they all match?
No, there's about 3 or 4 different spines.
You know how I feel about that.
Do you want one of the spines?
I don't. I can't even look at them.
I was at my home comic
Eric
book store.
Eric has 2 volumes identical, and then you got a weird one, and then you got another one that doesn't match either, and then you got more that match. It's disgusting.
Volume 1 and 2 are the same. Yes. Volume 3 is different because it's one of the original printings.
I threw up in my mouth.
Volumes 4 through 6 are the same, and then 7 and 8 change.
Stop it.
But match each other.
Yeah, but match each other.
That is, you know what?
And I don't have 9, 10, 11.
This is a good example of the Scarlet Witch using chaos to destroy something. Because my psyche is gone. Hilary, what about you? What are some of your favorite storylines?
Well, I went back to try to see which ones I had read more recently that I particularly liked. I'm really enjoying the all new X-Men run. I guess.
Yes, that's on my list too.
That's where the original X-Men
like the
crew
60s X-Men comes Cyclops
through
Beast.
time. I can't remember how, but
Beast
they go through time. That's right. Beast goes back to get them so that they can fix stuff that's been going on.
Yeah, Cyclops is off the rails right now
in the main timeline.
I mean,
so then they get stuck, and so there's like volume after volume after volume of these like kids living like with their adult selves, and like chaos ensues.
Yeah.
I like it.
I do too, and I gotta say props. This is by Brian Michael Bendis. I gotta say props to Marvel for doing that because it is such an off the wall, imaginative plot. And you don't like this, right? You're not a fan.
No.
Okay. You're gonna have to
continue.
You're gonna have to help me because I've read 7 volumes of this and I don't know where to go next. So I need your expertise.
Okay. 7 volumes
of all new X-Men.
Oh, you've read all of those?
Yeah.
Did you just read them because I had them?
You read them because I had them. I love the classic team. That's one place where I differ from you guys.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing because I kind of aggressively don't like the original team, but I really like this run.
So I like the classic team, and I liked having them interact with the new versions, and I love time travel.
I mean, I like Brian Michael Bendis. I just really like his dialogue and all of like the style of his drama, which I know is also Eric's favorite.
Eric does love that.
The wordier, the better.
All right, well, I'll some of ours might be the same, because All New X-Men by Bendis is on the top of my list too. That's probably the one I followed the most like religiously for the longest, until it just got so
the later volumes I'm not liking as much.
Yeah, it took a turn. All right, what else you got?
The Avengers versus X-Men Omnibus.
The Phoenix Force is coming to Earth, and Iron Man and the Avengers are like, oh no, it's coming, and we gotta destroy it. And Scott is kind of like revolutionary at the time. He's like, no, we can use it to bring back the mutants back. Avengers want to take Hope back because they think it's coming to get Hope.
And Hope is who?
Hope is a character that they think is psychic. They think is kind of related to Jean Grey. Jean Grey's dead at the time. Anyway, X-Men disagree with the Avengers. There's a big fight. 5 of the X-Men get the Phoenix Force. They go a little crazy.
They kind of like take over. Like
yes.
They rule.
Cyclops, Emma Frost, Magik, Colossus, and Namor, the Submariner.
Oh, I like Namor.
All have the Phoenix Force. And they kind of take over the world, go a little crazy. Everybody fights them. Cyclops tries to kill Emma, kills Professor X.
Yeah.
Phoenix Force breaks up. He's all sad.
I mean, I have other things written down. I have X-Men Season 1.
Yeah, that's a fun series. When Eric and I first started the graphic novel collection here, we got all of the season 1s just to have kind of a baseline for all the different characters. And X-Men was in there. I've read that one too. I really liked that as well. Good art. Well, we already mentioned All New X-Men, which probably is my favorite. I also was really a fan of the Astonishing X-Men Joss Whedon run, which is 3 volumes?
It's 4 volumes. Yeah, that one was a big deal. That was like, because after Grant Morrison left, they were like, oh no, now what are we going to do? Nobody's going to want to buy X-Men anymore. And yeah, Joss Whedon came in, wrote it for 26. It was delayed a lot of times.
Yeah. And I don't think it ever resolves, right?
It does. Yeah, there was a big extra issue when it was over.
Oh, I see.
Where the aliens are sending a giant space bullet towards Earth.
See, I don't think I ever finished that one, probably because of the delays. I don't think I ever read.
It took me a long time to finish it as well.
That's the thing. It's like with Paper Girls, It's like you almost have to just wait until the end and then go back and read it so the story makes sense. But especially the early volumes of that, I really loved it. And then X-Men First Class by Jeff Parker, I also really like, which is just, it takes the 60s team and puts them in a modern setting, and it's a good use of the characters. I like that a lot.
I didn't love the Joss Whedon stuff when it was happening, because this was one of the books that felt like it was retroactively trying to undo things that the Grant Morrison run had done. Okay. Which I had been a big fan of. Okay. And so characters were acting like they had in the 80s instead of how they had been acting for the past 20 years. I see. So he kind of Wolverine and Cyclops had kind of just chilled out about the whole rivalry and Jean was gone now and everything, so it was just now they can relax. But then he was like, nope, it's back. And it was just kind of cool. Nice. This is great. This is
Cyclops a convertible. Let's talk movies. Let's talk movies. There's so much to get into there. So many different movies.
There are.
Well, there are. I mean, you've got the classic trilogy, you've got the New Class trilogy, you've got the Deadpools. 3. You've got, it's just a lot going on. Yeah. So why don't we pick a favorite? Can we do that?
Oh man, I don't know.
Can we do that?
Yeah, I'm sure they're all different.
Okay.
Mine's X-Men 2.
Okay.
X2, X-Men United.
Go on.
X-Men 2 for me it's basically the movie I would use to be if somebody's what are the X-Men about? Yeah. What are they about? What are the characters like? I'd show them X-Men 2. Okay. Because whereas X-Men 1 is very good and it's kind of a smaller character piece, X-Men 2 has bigger action for one, but it also brings home more the mutants versus humans dilemma than the first one does, because the first one's very much Magneto has a crazy plot and some mutants are fighting, but X-Men 2 is very much humans are going to be a problem for mutants, and I think it nails a lot of the core ideas that are at the base of the X-Men. All right, and it's got some of the best.
What would you, if you had to fill out a top 3?
It'd be X-Men 2, probably First Class, and then probably Days of Future Past.
Okay.
So.
All right. Yeah. Hilary, what about you?
I think I would say the set of the first movie and Days of Future Past. I think I would put those like together.
But,
I think all the rest of them are like, I like these movies, but I don't know that there's any others that really stand out that much to me as like individuals. It's like, yay, I'm watching an X-Men movie. There's more, woohoo! But I don't think that.
And just to clarify, you're talking about the Days of Future Past, the Rogue cut.
Yeah, that's true. I should specify.
In the theatrical release, and Eric's favorite, Rogue is basically excise, which makes the plot, I think, quicker and more lean. And
it probably makes it a better movie in itself.
I agree.
But what I like about the Rogue cut is that it makes it like a bookend. So you have the first movie, and then you have a bunch of movies, and then you have Days of Future Past, the Rogue cut, which acts very much as like the end parentheses of the two. Yeah,
well, I mean, I love the, I can't think of the word, but the mirroring of
the parallelism.
Yes, thank you. Of Magneto in the first movie,
dancing off,
going through the train with this whole big thing, like breaking through all this stuff, trying to steal Rogue, trying to get Rogue. And then you have in the Rogue cut, the reverse of that, where Magneto's doing the same kind of thing to like save Rogue and bring her like where she needs to be. So I really love that.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, it's hard, and now you're making me question myself. I think honestly. Oh, did you have another? So I had Eric do a top three. Did you have a top three?
Those are the two. I just don't really.
Okay.
I don't want to say I don't care about them, but they all just kind of run together.
She likes
mostly because I don't want to break. Oh, I wasn't thinking about. Yeah, that's true. That's true. The new guys I like.
I would. For me, it's hard. I think like I have to give it to X-Men, the first X-Men, just because of its importance and how good it is. You know what I mean? You don't have to say. You don't have to make any excuses for that movie. It's just good. And I remember so clearly when it came out, I was in the Bogar, this theater. I used to go to this little tiny theater in downtown. And I just remember like everything that happened, and I was 100% in. I couldn't wait for the VHS tape to come out so I could like watch it a million times. So I think in the grand scheme of things in the X-Men saga, like the importance of that movie is going to make it take anything else. I think if I could like divorce the emotion from it and to pick an absolute favorite, I think I would go with First Class, because it is just such a strong movie, just beat by beat is a great movie. Yeah. I love it. To round out a top three, I would go with the Wolverine.
Boy, I was not thinking of the right movies when I was coming up with my plans. I stand by my favorite.
X-Men.
Two.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, First Class is great. And the little individual ones are good too. I really enjoy. I don't think
Wolverine would appreciate you calling his movies the little individual ones.
The Wolverine is X-Men Origins Wolverine, which you and I have a fondness for, and I think you like it a little less than me. And Eric and the rest of the world hate it.
I like it.
With Taylor Kitsch as Gambit and all that.
Oh, yeah. That's the one I like. I like that one.
Yeah, I like it too. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Eric.
We're in Eric's house, so we should.
Sorry,
it's fine.
We should be respectful of his wishes.
Fine.
All right. Now it's hard. It's hard to put anything above the '90s X-Men series, the cartoon, just because again, it's like kind of the one that started it all and got it all going. Let's name a favorite series for you.
X-Men the animated series.
It would be
the '90s one.
Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, it probably would be. I really liked Evolution.
Yeah, see, I thought 100% you were going to say Evolution.
Yeah, well, the thing is, a lot of Evolution, the style of it, and
I'm sorry, what era are we talking about for Evolution? Is that 2000?
It's like 2001.
Early 2001. Yeah. When I was, it was great for the age that I was, and it's more of the style of storytelling and the art and stuff that I like in general. But I think that the original animated series just did more legwork. And, like, if I hadn't watched that, I probably wouldn't really have latched on to Evolution. So it's hard for me to divorce the two.
Yeah.
It feels almost like... I don't know. It feels like they're connected. Like I think I just watched them kind of in a stream.
X-Men Evolution is what started my long-term crush on Rogue. So... That gothy impression of Rogue.
What is X-Men Evolution borrowing most heavily from? Like from the comics or something? It's just doing its own thing?
Mostly it's just doing its own thing, yes.
It was it feels like it was at the time, it was trying to do X-Men, and it was latching on to the kind of anime craze, and being a little more fluid art.
Evolution, I mean, they were basing a lot of stuff from the first movie. Like I remember reading something that they had to put like Sabretooth in a coat and everything. Like, why? And then they saw the movie like, oh, okay, that's why. And so I think they were using a lot from the movie. I don't think they used too much from like Ultimate X-Men, the comics that were happening at the time.
Yeah.
A little bit of like the costumes, but like Storm and Wolverine are the only like adult mutants there. So I think they were kind of going with that as well. So
for me, I mean, I know I've told you this before, but the 90s X-Men show was, to me, it was really the first, like, I have to see the next episode of this show. You know, it was because it was a little more serialized than cartoons had been up to that point.
Yeah.
I remember the whole saga with Morph being left behind and then being all like, how could you leave Morph? We had to! Like, screaming at each other. I was like, this is real.
Because they would not stop playing that episode.
Oh, they played that episode, and then every Pizza Hut had that episode on VHS tape. So it was like the most, there you go.
I've got the VHS tapes.
Yeah.
But
I honestly, I think my favorite would be Wolverine and the X-Men.
Wolverine and the X-Men is a great series.
It is. It is underappreciated.
It's like I sort of feel I don't feel like it's as legit in my brain because the other ones are just from like my childhood when I was forming my opinions of the X-Men. But it is very good.
Wolverine and the X-Men has good writing and everything, but the animation quality is a little cheap. You can kind of tell.
Oh, it's
a little,
I remember that.
It's a little thin, kind of.
Yeah, you can kind of. It's one of those things where
there's
not a lot of depth in the animation, so you can see that like the characters are on a background.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But it's good. It's like 26 episodes. It only got one season.
Yeah.
And then it ended, and they're like, "See you next season for Age of Apocalypse."
I know that was a great ending too. It really was.
I'll tell you what. It did make me cry.
Yeah.
One of the episodes.
Oh, it's
Sentinels.
It's a great show.
There's a Sentinel in there called Rover.
And you met Steve Bloom, who voiced Wolverine in that.
I did meet Steve Bloom.
And you got my copy of Wolverine and the X-Men signed.
That's true.
By the man himself.
I love Steve Bloom.
So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So Rover was the episode in the original.
The episode where the Sentinel named Rover, all he can say is destroy, but he's Marrow's pet robot and keeps him safe. And then at the end, they're being attacked by Sentinels, and he's in there to fight them. And she's like, "Oh no, Rover, you gotta escape!" And he turns to her and says, "Run!" But all he could say was destroy. And now he says, "Run."
Jeez. Yeah, that's emotional.
I'm okay.
All right.
So yeah, I definitely was glad no one was home during that episode. So just a 25-year-old man crying on the couch.
If you haven't watched Wolverine and the X-Men, like Eric said, it's one season, 26 episodes. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah. A lot of X-Men get like Marrow's in there.
Yeah.
Like that. So that's kind of Bishop gets a lot of play in there. Marrow gets a lot of play.
It's an atypical team and an atypical setup with Wolverine kind of taking the lead.
Well, because Professor X is missing.
Yeah.
And Jean, like Professor X and Jean are both gone because there was a big explosion and they lost them. So like Wolverine has to. It starts with him having to like reform the team, right? Cyclops is off moping and he has to get kind of a broody Cyclops to join the team. I remember there was a lot of like. They did some interesting stuff with the Phoenix story at the end that I was kind of surprised by. And it was like, oh, this is cool. I like this. So
yeah, it's an excellent series. So that's why it's my favorite. It was one that I really latched onto.
Yeah, it's too bad that one.
I know, and it did so. It's such good setup. But anyway, all right, let's close this up. Unless there's something else you guys want to talk about that I missed.
I don't think.
All right, let's close this up with favorite characters.
Okay, I think my automatic is Rogue.
Yes.
Which is funny because my current favorite in the Marvel Universe is Captain Marvel, and she is where Rogue gets her most notable powers in
one of the most disturbing episodes of the 90s animated series. Yeah.
I'm sorry!
Yeah, we talked about that a little in the Captain Marvel episode.
Yeah.
But I love her, and I love Gambit. Yeah. I love her and Gambit together.
Yeah.
I think that's probably...
That's it.
Okay.
Just Rogue and Gambit.
Like, those are the ones that like you say, what are your favorite characters? And it's like, those just jump straight to my mind.
Okay. What about you?
Sans Wolverine.
Okay.
It's character Rogue, Nightcrawler, Iceman. I like Havoc quite a bit. Cyclops' brother Havoc.
Yes.
I'm very partial to like the early Claremont team, like Storm, Cyclops, or Storm, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Wolverine. Like I like those four together. So Yeah.
Okay. My favorite, and this has been, I like Bishop too.
Yeah.
Going back to my earliest X-Men memories.
Iceman, right?
Iceman.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always loved Iceman.
Him in the game.
Yeah, I always played him in the game.
He's got good powers, yeah. He's got good area of effect powers.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that like late 90s X-Men? Probably not even late. Probably like early. No, it must have been early 90s. X-Men. No, I guess you wouldn't because you didn't know X-Men then. There was this 90s run of action figures that was like everything to me. I loved them. And this was like in the Toys R Us era, you know, where you'd have like a wall just like as far as the eye can see of just X-Men toys.
Yep.
And they had, I mean, if a character even was in the background of a panel in a single X-Men comic, you can bet that Toys R Us had an action figure of that one-off character. And I was desperate to get the Cyclops, hooded Cyclops with a white stripe, because his optic blast flipped on. Yeah. And we used to take them to slumber parties, and when the parents were like, all right, go to bed, we'd be like, okay. And then we'd use those to like...
That's fun. Yeah. You have the 90s cartoon to thank for that, because the X-Men didn't have like a toy line until the cartoon. So.
But they were modeled on the cartoon, which is interesting. They weren't...
Yeah, that might have been licensing or something. Yeah, Marvel, the comics company, was not a big supporter of the cartoon right out of the gate. So I think that might also be why.
Wow.
But like you said, too, like the cartoon only has so many characters, where the X-Men comics, they're like, oh, remember Maggot?
So, I mean, the
real
the Cyclops was super cool, and it's probably one of the reasons why Cyclops has remained one of my favorite characters, even though a lot of times...
I cannot believe that Cyclops
I know.
is one of your favorite
a lot of the times he's unpleasant, and he often makes baffling decisions, but I always find Cyclops compelling.
I like Cyclops.
I know. I really liked that 2-volume spin-off of All New X-Men that just follows young Cyclops in space, which got all confusing with the Black Vortex crossover. But yeah, so Iceman and his action figure was completely clear, and I was mesmerized by that. And Cyclops and Nightcrawler.
You might like Grant Morrison's new X-Men then, because he was one of those people who's like, Cyclops is cool. He's confident. He seems detached, but it's just because he's just like, this is just, you know, a Wednesday for him, like dive bombing a bunch of Sentinels and blowing up the ship.
T-shirt with Cyclops that says, "This is just a Wednesday."
This is just a Wednesday for me. Yeah. So it like if you do Cyclops right, he is a compelling character. Yeah. He's very angsty, which is an issue. Well, and the whole Wolverine thing is rough.
As I've mentioned in past episodes, I've been off graphic novels, and you recommended Exiles to me, which is an X-Men story.
It's basically Sliders.
Yes, it is, with different versions of the X-Men coming together and working as a team, and I am loving it.
Really?
So, yes.
Nice.
So, I'm definitely going to follow that one. But you've also convinced me to pick up Grant Morrison X-Men. So,
I'm so excited for you.
I will keep our listeners
That's when I have
posted.
all in single issues as well.
I have to, you know, I read the, Eric and I both read the Raina Telgemeier X-Men Misfits, Hilary, which I think you should give a shot to.
The manga X-Men.
Because it's fun. But I was talking about this in our soccer episode, and my friend Chris, who was in our soccer episode, called me out for preparing for the X-Men episode by reading X-Men things I haven't read, but not reading soccer books. So he's right, but in my defense, as soon as he gave me his list, I put holds on everything, and they didn't come until we recorded the episode.
I'm sorry.
So, Chris, you are right.
Lacking that, you did a good job pretending to be interested in soccer.
Thank you.
For that episode.
Thank you very much. Yeah. He also pointed out that Invictus, which we talked about quite a bit, is not a soccer movie. They are, in fact, playing rugby.
Darn it.
So Chris has offered to be our official soccer correspondent, so we'll welcome him to the All the Books family. Any soccer questions can go to my college friend Chris Casali.
Yeah.
All right. I think it's going to do it for our X-Men Spotlight.
Yeah. So
if
people are interested, I suggest a book called Comic Creators on X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
Where Tom DeFalco goes around and interviews a bunch of people who worked on X-Men. So if you just want to, without reading all the issues, you just want to see what like creators were doing and everything. This is a really sweet book.
Okay.
So
all right. All right. Well, thanks to our special guest Hilary Gunning for joining us in our X-Men episode. And where can they find Previously on X-Men? Eric?
You can find Previously on X-Men wherever you get your podcasts, so iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. You can find its website at radiomeanwhile.com as well. This week's episode will be our character spotlight on Scarlet Witch. We kind of rotate through different topics, so comics, the movies, and the shows.
All right.
So
So if you like X-Men, you like Eric, you like Hilary, but you're not a fan of me.
Oh, sure.
Previously on X-Men is the podcast
Ditch
for
Nick.
you.
If you're not a fan of X-Men, I think we do a pretty decent job explaining things to people who might not know.
Huh. Yeah, a lot of it is like when I don't remember something precisely and you have to explain it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then that works for the listener.
That's right. The listener might think that's a clever bit, but it's actually the inner workings of Hilary's brain.
In that?
Previously
on X.
Previously on X.
I'm like trying to picture it in my head.
All right.
Facebook and Twitter.
Thanks again for joining us. Oh, you didn't really talk about Dark Phoenix.
The movie?
Yeah.
Give us a quick.
Okay. Dark Phoenix, the movie. My mileage is obviously going to take me through that film more than most people, because not only do I like the X-Men, I like these movies in general, and so I tend to forgive them for their mistakes. Mm-hmm. But...
Am I going to like this movie, Eric?
I don't know. It definitely does things wrong that are important decisions. It definitely makes some important wrong choices. There's some stuff in there that's good. There's some stuff in there that's not good. It tries to go smaller and a little bit more personal, but you can't really do that with the Dark Phoenix story without making it not seem that important. And also, it's not a remake of Last Stand, but there are moments you're like, we've been through this before with Last Stand.
So if we don't like this, we could just wait another 10 years for the next Phoenix movie.
Basically, yeah.
That feels like my entire childhood.
I'm not saying this isn't a story where you need Magneto or his cronies or any of that. It should just be Jean and the X-Men, and Magneto's there. Okay. And there's also some other stuff in there that I won't say, that when they show up in the comics, I don't like them. Okay. And they're in the movie, so in that way, it's a little accurate to the comic, but I'm like,
And now, we've differed very much on Apocalypse in that I wanted to go and find the creators of this and demand a written apology, and you liked Apocalypse. You're forgiving of Apocalypse.
I don't like the character Apocalypse in that movie, but I like...
Power of Sand.
I like seeing certain X-Men in there, and I like the costumes and the action and everything.
How's the jump from Apocalypse to Dark Phoenix? Like, do they feel...
Apocalypse, to me, feels very much like a standalone, kind of an annual, like in the comics, where like nothing's really... It doesn't matter what came before. This is very by itself. It's got a big villain that won't matter in the grand scheme of things. Some cool action sets and everything. Lots of color that the X-Men movies usually don't have. And Dark Phoenix is very low-key and not great at times. But
that's disappointing.
My wife liked it for the most part, and there are moments action-wise that stand out. Magneto using his power still finds ways to like crack me up. But I did especially hate Nightcrawler in this movie.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, well, I guess once we see it, I'll give you an update on how we feel.
Sophie Turner is good, but they don't give her enough.
Okay.
So I guess it depends on how much you like Jean's story relating to all the men in her life, and that will show you how much you like to
I'm just going to stay
Phoenix.
home.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's do some quick library news. So we're coming up on the summer reading program, which runs throughout July. The book sale is going to be up. We've got programming and prizes for all ages. In the auditorium, we have the Young Sisters concert on June 13th. We have a historical reenactment, impersonator, whatever you'd like to say, coming in character as Ulysses S. Grant. That's going to be on Tuesday the 18th. And then Music on the Lawn starts right after that with a Beatles tribute band, new this year. And, of course, Terry Buckwald as Elvis is going to be here, which everybody loves.
The Elvis impersonator is also the Ulysses S. Grant impersonator, though.
Really? Wow. That is, in fact, not true, but it is an interesting. Anything you want to mention, teen, youth-wise?
Summer reading program coming up. There are tons of prizes. The grand prizes are some telescopes, so you can see space and maybe think about terraforming Mars.
Nice.
Just like
Kim Stanley Robinson.
Yeah. We'll give away a copy of Red Mars to each.
Well, now you've committed to that, so you have to make that happen.
And then, Teen Night and Kids Hangout, which happens on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, are still going on. We're showing a few different movies, too.
Exciting. So. I like how you said that like Austin Powers.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the All the Book Show. Remember, you can listen to Hilary and Eric on their X-Men podcast, Previously on X-Men. Find them on Twitter at Previously on X. You can like, rate, and review the All the Book Show on iTunes or wherever you find your podcasts. Yeah. Remember to rate and share. And you can talk to us on Twitter at All the Book Show. Until next time.